Living in a back house had advantages. First, Mommy didn't have to buy much candy for Halloween. Second, I could ride my bicycle right down to the front door from the street, just like Batman going into the Batcave. All of Gotham changed when Daryl and Darla Dawn Dake moved into the front house. They were newly married and had a screaming baby. The baby was noisy, but the real problem was their dog, Brutus. He was a Chihuahua. I'd never seen such a strange dog. His eyes seemed ready to pop out of his skull. He was really small, like an evil gnome dog. Brutus made up for his size with viciousness. Besides those bulbous eyes, his teeth seemed too large in proportion to his body. When he would bark, it was more like a scream. Brutus would race along the picket fence, barking and snapping as I ran up our walkway to the sidewalk. This was tolerable until Brutus realized that he was, in fact, so small that he could slip through the fence and attack at will. Morning trips up the walkway to school now became a stealthy strategy of dog and mouse. Sometimes Brutus wasn't outside and I could go unmolested, but more times than not, I would quietly sneak out of the back door. I walked slowly to the south side of the house, hoping that Brutus wouldn't discover my plan. Just as I saw the glimmer of freedom, the sidewalk, he would round the corner of the house, snarling and snapping. This would send me running back around the house, up the north walkway to the sidewalk. The strange thing was that Brutus never chased me further than a few houses. He was never outside when I came home after school, probably feeding on some kid that didn't escape. On the way home one day, I formulated a brilliant plan. Instead of just sneaking up either side of my house, I would go next door to Mr. Clausen's house. Mr. Clausen had built a huge house with a long walkway up to the street. There was no way Brutus would hear me that far away, and it was a whole house away from his hunting territory. The next morning, I left out the back door as usual. After quietly climbing Mr. Clausen's wall, I made my way up the long walkway. I was so proud of myself for outsmarting a dog. Not just any dog, but Brutus the tormentor. As I made it to the corner of the house, there he was. I think even Brutus was surprised how far I had made it before being discovered. Now I was running for my life. Brutus, in hot pursuit, was trying to bite my exposed ankles. I knew if he succeeded, I would fall and he would eat me alive. That term always confused me. At some point, you would be dead. I was approaching the corner of Mr. Clausen's house. Slowing a little, I planted my foot and pivoted hard. Brutus slammed into my heel of my tennis shoe, letting out a yelp. I ran past Mr. Clausen's house and turned up the walkway. After I made it to the sidewalk, I turned and looked back. Brutus was nowhere in sight. From then on, Brutus would still bark and run along his fence, but he never came out to bite. I guess Mommy's maxim, just bust him in the nose, paid off. Hey, I'm doing audio.